I called an ambulance when my coworker fell and hit her head drunk at a work event. She got fired, and now some colleagues blame me. This got removed from AITA, so posting here. I, 27F, was at a group work training for my job this past weekend. The company put a bunch of us up in a hotel and had us attend a day-long presentation about our goals for the next quarter. For context, we're in sales, it's highly competitive, and the group consisted of mostly older employees, with me being the youngest. After a full day of meetings, a few of us decided to get dinner at a restaurant down the street from our hotel. We carpooled, and when we arrived, one of the older ladies, Deborah, 50s, was already there, standing at the bar. We invited her to join us for food, but she declined, and we moved on with our night. I had 2 beers with dinner, so I'm not judging, but as we finished our meal, it became clear that Deborah was plastered. She was stumbling even though the ground was level and slurring pretty badly. As we left, Deborah came outside with us and reached for her keys. I immediately stopped her and said I'd drive her back to our hotel. She agreed, but as she went to grab the passenger door handle, she missed and fell straight back onto the pavement, hitting the back of her head. I don't mean to be gross, but it sounded like someone dropped a carton of eggs. I checked, and not only was she passed out, but she was bleeding from her head. Everyone panicked, and I grabbed my phone to call 911. One of the younger guys stopped me and said, "Help me get her in the car. We'll get her room key out of her purse and just put her in bed." I was bewildered and said, "But she has a head injury. She's bleeding? What if she cracked her skull? I'm no doctor, but if you go to sleep with a head injury, don't you not wake up?" I'm pretty sure I learned that in school, and some of the other employees agreed with me, so I called the ambulance. Paramedics took Deborah to the hospital, and she survived, though she was in really bad shape when I checked up on her the next day. Here's where I may be the asshole. Our managers found out that Deborah was hospitalized for overdrinking while technically at a work function, and they fired her on the spot. Everyone also found out that I was the one who insisted on calling an ambulance. The older employees are all saying I did the right thing and that she could have died, but the younger ones are calling me a snake and saying I got her fired on purpose because she was competition. Comments. Comment 1. NTA. Better jobless than dead. You did exactly right, I stand corrected. Spelling matters reply. I'm sure the coworkers giving OP shit would have also given her shit if she didn't call the ambulance and the coworker died. She did the right thing for sure. If they'd dragged her back to the hotel, put her to bed, and she died overnight, they'd be fired and arrested. OP saved everyone's ass. This actually happened to a friend. He got an offer letter just after we graduated, was treating his friends to food and drinks, drove drunk on a bike, and crashed, hit his head. There were no superficial injuries, and the friend who was on the bike with him was also drunk, high. So they decided not to take him to a hospital, and took him to his apartment to sleep it off. He never woke up. Gone for good at 22, my friend's entire family was looking forward to him working. They were lower income class, both parents disabled. He was looking forward to being their support system. Don't drive drunk, for your sake and others. And if you ever suffer a head injury, go straight to ER. Now to the next story, story 2. My laughter at my sister's tragedy. Baby name got me uninvited, sparked a family intervention, and saved my niece. Original post. My sister is due in early January and we're planning her baby shower for early December. She decided she wanted to use my mother's maiden name, Rafferty, as her daughter's name. Not a tragedy itself, and I guess it works as a unique name. But yesterday I texted my sister that I needed to get the custom items with my niece's name ordered ASAP so they would arrive in time for the shower. My sister then let me know they're going with an alternative spelling of Rafferty. I texted back, an alternative spelling? Of our mother's maiden name? My sister wants to spell it Rayfarty. So I sent back a bunch of laughing emojis and she asked, "What's so funny?" I tried to explain that no one will pronounce that as Rafferty and she'll probably get plenty of the same mispronunciations. She told me I was being ridiculous. I texted back, "My poor niece, little Miss Farty Ray?" I was uninvited to the shower and my mom told me today my sister doesn't want me as the godmother anymore. But, Rayfarty is really bad, isn't it? Someone needs to tell her, right? Some of OOP's comments Josh, top comments, Barge G. Yup, it's Rayfarty, no matter what sis wants to believe. Oop. Thank you. Balloon Ship, Rayfarty. MGM, expected release 2025. A hard-boiled detective living and working in the heart of Pittsburgh's Sulphur District is tasked with investigating the theft of 12,000 durians. In an unexpected twist, the alleged mastermind of the crime, the CEO of Chipotle, was also Ray's high school chemistry teacher. Oop. OMG. I needed this? Estamos ready. That's terrible, she is going to hate her name. Out of curiosity, how old is your sister? Ope. My sister is 26. We both have fairly plain names and my sister was always jealous of people with more exotic names. She told my mom that spelling it Raffarty will be obvious that it's pronounced Rafferty, but it makes it look more girly. I mean, yeah, girls fart too. Happy Big 3297, Rafferty comes under the category of names I wouldn't use. Not a big fan of surnames as first names, but which I can see tick some boxes that would make them appealing to some people. Honors your mom, sounds gender neutral, could use the nickname Raff. Raffarty comes under the category of names that sound like jokes. No wonder you laughed. Do what you can to dissuade her, everyone's going to pronounce it as farty. Ope, I agree, I wouldn't use it myself, but I get that it honors my mom and her family and it's not too out there. Thank God my mother wasn't born a Lewandowski, no offense to the Lewandowskis out there. My mom is mildly annoyed. She wants to honor her last name but totally respell it. But my mother's opinion is that it's my sister's child and no one but she and her husband really have a say in the name. Apparently my sister insists everyone will understand it as Rafferty and not Rayfarty, SMDH. What about BIL? I texted him last night to ask if he knew about the colorful respelling. Surprise, surprise, he hates it and immediately thinks Rayfarty, too. But he doesn't know how to approach it because my sister's pregnancy has been increasingly emotional and he's already walking on eggshells. Update post. I don't know if updates are allowed here, but here it is and sorry it's long and I've been having a hard time submitting it. Is there a character limit? I'll try posting some and put the rest in the comments. So we had an intervention on Rayfarty. I know everyone said to send a link to the original post to my sister to show her that 103% of the global population would call her daughter Rayfarty and that would be the easiest thing to do, but some commenters said some pretty gnarly things about my sister that she doesn't need to read and feel worse about herself. But I wanted to address a few things that came up. First, for those saying I shouldn't bother paying for the baby shower anymore, I had no plans to not continue to pay and help out. Disagreements and fighting aside, I love my sister and want her to go into motherhood filled with love and support, regardless of whether she wants my support or attendance at the event. Second, my sister's husband was made aware of the spelling change of Rafferty to Rayfarty about a month before my original post. He said he didn't think much of it until he saw it written down and immediately saw it as Rayfarty, too. He said her emotions had been getting worse throughout the pregnancy, and he didn't know how to approach her about going back to the original spelling. He had hoped that once she gave birth, all the hormones would somehow leave her body, she'd come to her senses, and it would be a non-issue. Third, a lot of you were lumping my mom in with my sister and said some pretty horrible things about her too. All my mom knew was from my sister calling her to complain that I laughed at her for slightly changing the spelling. My mom just assumed it was a minor change like Rafferty until I told her to grab a pen and paper and I'd spell it out for her. Once she saw it was Rayfarty, she was team save this child. The rest of the saga is in the comments. Continued. The rest. Now for those of you who told me I didn't have any tact and my reaction was mean, my reaction was because 1. People would call the poor girl Rayfarty her entire life for the sake of my sister being quirky. 2. Pregnancy brain aside, surely my sister would realize her child will be called Rayfarty once it's pointed out, have a laugh, change her mind, and this will end up being a funny story to tell at her daughter's future wedding or something. And 3. My sister is a bit of a joker, so I also initially thought she was just pulling a prank or joking. But if she was joking, she took the joke really, really far. She spent $400 on a mural painted on one wall in the nursery. She wanted to debut the finished nursery to everyone at the baby shower, including her husband, who was forbidden to see it beforehand, that had Rayfarty incorporated into it that now needs to be repainted. She also bought herself a birthing gift? Is this even a thing? She'd have my brother-in-law present to her in front of everyone at the hospital. A 900+ gold bracelet with R, A, E, F, A, R, T, and Y charms. The baby book also has Rayfarty embroidered on the cover. I contacted my sister's best friend Katie, not her real name, if my sister has told her anything about the spelling change. She found out about Rayfarty after the blow-up with my sister, as my sister wanted to get Katie on her side. Katie, who's a teacher, was equally horrified about the spelling and told me this is the worst attempt at a creative name she's ever seen. The intervention of sorts, the farty party, if you will, included me, my sister, her husband, his mother and father, my mother and Katie. My sister refused to believe anyone could possibly see Rayfarty as Rayfarty, and that we were just mad that she was taking creative license and that everyone does that nowadays. My sister said children are not that cruel to bully her daughter for her name, and Katie said plenty of kids are cruel enough and the others would join in so they're not singled out themselves. My sister countered that as long as all the adults are pronouncing it correctly that it'll be no problem, and Katie told her that not only would the adults not know how to pronounce it to begin with, but that as long as fart is in the name, kids will latch right onto that. I was happy Katie was there because she's shared interesting names her students have had over the past few years, so I knew her opinion on this would probably be the only one to sway her. My sister cried for about 10 minutes and finally agreed to entirely change the name because even Rafferty was tainted because we had all ruined it for her. We told her to take her time to consider a new name. She told us she still wanted to honor my mother, and she suggested she'd combine my mother's first name with her mother-in-law's name and created a name on the spot that included a crass term for a lesbian. When my mother pointed that out, she started crying again and accused us of not letting her be a mom, and her husband suggested we leave it for now and we should all go and give her space. It's been radio silence until my sister texted me a couple of hours ago that she and her husband landed on Theodora and she is absolutely in love with it. She even decided my unborn niece looks like a Theodora in the ultrasounds. She got those creepy 3D ones done where every baby looks like the same copper potato. I replied that that was lovely and that I'm so happy she's happy. It's not my taste, but at least it's not Theodora or some crap like that. So there you go. My niece has been saved from being called Ray Farty. I'm invited to the baby shower again, and I know this is just a little blip with my relationship to my sister and we'll be fine, but Katie will be taking over as godmother, which is fine by me. I can always be godmother to their next child, who will probably be named something like Tiramisu. Thank you all for seeing the same thing I did and letting me know stopping Rayfarty from coming into existence was the right thing to do. Some of Ope's comments. Commenter. She also bought herself a birthing gift. Is this even a thing? She'd have my brother-in-law present to her in front of everyone at the hospital. What the actual fuck? Silly name aside, what is this? Some kind of social media fueled, look at me and how wonderful I am to get a gift as a reward for giving birth. This feels very tacky to me. The whole push present concept gives me the ick. Oop. I agree. I've never heard of this before and it seems crazy. But also, if I ever ruin my body and push out a watermelon, I'd kinda want a reward too, though. Commenter. Pretty please tell us the amalgamation of her mother and MIL's names. Ope. There's probably no anonymity left on this situation, so here it goes. My mom is Leslie. Sister's MIL is Yvonne. The name was Les Yvonne, pronounced Les Yvonne, like my niece is the lesbian baroness of some German village. I'll have the staff prepare the Birkenstocks for Les Yvonne Fartenberg's arrival. New update post. Title, Rayfarty has made it to the party. I don't know if you remember my post from a few weeks back about my sister wanting to name my niece Rayfarty, pronounced Rafferty and not at all like Ray Farty. My niece has been born 2 weeks earlier than expected, but she is healthy and home now. When my sister first held her, she said, "She's so adorable," and got an idea. She wanted to change from Theodora to Theodorable. Thankfully my BIL put his foot down. He did give her carte blanche on the middle name. When it was supposed to be Rafferty, they went with Rose to counterbalance Rafferty being different. Now that Theodora was the normal name, and because my sister just cannot not be extra, she chose Jacksonville. Theodora Jacksonville. A Rayfarty Rose by any other name would smell as sweet. We are not from Florida. BIL is not from Florida. I don't think my sister's ever been to Florida, much less to Jacksonville. I asked her how she came up with it and she said she always liked geographical names, which is news to me because I specifically remember a conversation about names months ago and she said she hated when parents name their kids place names like Camden or Brooklyn because they're trying way too hard. But you do you, Rayfarty's mom. Also, our city has a pretty sizable Polish-American population and people will certainly try to pronounce it like it's a Polish last name, but at least the craziness is confined to the middle name. And there's no gas or slurs involved. Some of OOP's comments, that person you don't know, thanks for the update on Ray Farty. At least it's a middle name, and thank goodness Bill stopped the other craziness. Oh. Props to my BIL this time around. He said the look on the nurse's face when my sister suggested Theodorable was all he needed. LOL, capable box. 8785. The entire internet remembers Rayfarty. Your sister is a legend, but that middle name though, a full-on tragedy. Oop. When we heard the name, my mother warned me, let's not go through this again, it's just the middle name. So I behaved myself. Broadway Girl 27, does your sister understand the legacy she has created? Oh. A few people know about the post, but I don't think she does, or is too embarrassed to admit she knows. But she's not really on social media much except for Water Talk vids. Editor's note, Water Talk is people sharing recipes for like, flavored water. But sometimes no water is involved or it is a monstrosity posing as water. Curtis Connor did a video on it if you want to find out more, but regardless, it's certainly a more niche community. Miranda524. It has even made its way to TikTok. OP. Suli, she must know by now. Sorry not sorry, I did what I needed to do to save Miss Farty Ray.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.